Welcome everybody back into Nerd Sesh. As always, I'm Carson Bradford, and alongside me is Logan Camden, and you already know the drill. We've got some playoff basketball to talk about today. 3 game threes, and Logan, I gotta say, I came into today expecting one game to be the biggest story of the night, but that was not ultimately the case. And we put it to the people. We asked you guys, where do you want us to start this show? And overwhelmingly, you said, we want to hear about the Oklahoma City Thunder pulling off the second biggest comeback in NBA playoff history, erasing a 29-point deficit against the Grizzlies to take a 3-0 series lead. Just a remarkable performance. Obviously, have to start this conversation by pointing out that Ja Morant goes out with an unfortunate injury when the Grizzlies are up 27. That dramatically changes the tone of this entire game. Ja was playing really well and certainly aided the Thunder in their comeback effort, his absence. But nevertheless, what did you make of that performance from OKC, Logan?
I mean, I thought it was a really impressive comeback. I do think you need to mention that Ja's not in the game. He was dominant in 15 minutes. He gave you 15 points and 5 assists. They were plus 16 in the minutes Ja was out there. But like you mentioned, this was a 29-point deficit. And I don't know, a lot of the questions about OKC, you've got to be confident in the answers that they gave you in this game, man. The way that Chet Holmgren bounced back after a 1 point first half and was crucial to the comeback offensively. SGA, who through 10 quarters of this series has been really, really disappointing, but in these last 2 quarters put it together. Jalen Williams had a good game, I thought, start to finish, but
Yeah.
specifically the level that their defense reached. They held Memphis scoreless for almost 4 minutes in the fourth quarter, and that's what really just shines in this game for me from the Thunder. It's all the other components. Like, I expected SGA to finally put it back together, but to see Chet really get it going in the second half, to see Jalen Williams get it going in the second half, when your back's against the wall, it's different, right? Because we've seen Oklahoma City in a lot of games in the regular season get comfortable. And this was a historically great regular season team. But this is different. This is back against the wall. This is, you're fighting back from a huge deficit, and they didn't lay down. They said, we're going to give you all that you can take, and we're going to see if we can come back and win this game. And that's exactly what they did. I don't know if Memphis would have won this game if Ja had stayed out there. I mean, he was dominating, but I thought they really disrupted Triple J after he became the focal point. I mean, the way they trapped him, the ball pressure, I thought they were really disruptive on him. Like, they shut him down, and really the Memphis offense crumbled late. Like, they completely fell apart and couldn't get anything going. I think it's a super impressive Thunder comeback, and I just really like what we're seeing from this team right now, man. Now's the time to really tune up your game and get ready for. I'm not calling Memphis a pushover or anything like that, but these are the tune-up games. This is the time to get ready and get into form, and I really like what we saw from the defense. I really like what we saw from Chet, from SGA, and from J-Dub. It was a really impressive comeback tonight, man.
It takes a special performance to erase a 29-point deficit in a half, no matter what. And even though I think the Grizzlies looked infinitely better with Ja on the floor in this game, and I just think they desperately missed the offensive stability that he was providing, just the comfort getting to his spots, that level of shot making, playmaking, everything, having an athlete of that caliber on the floor. Like, their offense really crumbled in the second half in his absence, and I do think he would have stabilized things. But the Grizzlies without Ja this year have still been a good basketball team. They're 18 and 14 in games that he misses entirely. They have a +5 net rating in all the minutes that he hasn't been on the floor. So even in his absence, like, this is a team that has been more than capable of winning games, playing highly competitive basketball, especially when they build themselves a 29-point lead. And I thought Memphis was phenomenal in the first half. And it was the worst basketball I've seen from the Thunder all year. I thought it was an embarrassing first half performance from OKC. Honestly, I'm not sure if anything comes all that close. Like, the play-in final against the Bucks was ugly. First Lakers game was ugly, but not like this, man. I mean, I thought it was apathetic. I thought that their effort, their physicality, their intensity was just not there. Meanwhile, the Grizzlies were shot out of a cannon. It felt like they really woke the hell up after what happened to them in the first two games. They had so much energy. They were so physical. They were pressuring the ball. They were running shooters off the line, and OKC's guys couldn't make shots from the three-point line. They looked a little bit rattled being run off the line so consistently. Just their entire offense looked so disjointed. And then Memphis is shooting better than 50% from three, and they're getting transition chances. And like, honestly, they did what OKC does to teams to OKC. It felt like what OKC did to Memphis in the first half of game one. But the difference, obviously, is the response, because the second half from OKC highlighted basically everything that they do best. Absolutely special defensive performance. There are so many dudes who I think deserve so much credit. Cason Wallace, I thought, was phenomenal with his activity, his ball pressure, his hands. But Alex Caruso is the one who stands out the most. Like, that was flat out one of the best individual defensive performances I have ever seen from a basketball player, Logan. 4 steals and a block doesn't even capture the absolute chaos that he was causing, and the fact that this dude is guarding Triple J and locking him up in the second half. And like, yeah, they did a really nice job of rattling him with some doubles and forcing him into a couple of turnovers. But Caruso on an island is just forcing his catch point so far out. And this dude has such insanely good hands, and he's so physical. Triple J can't comfortably put the ball on the floor against him. So he can't move him, even with his massive size advantage and the fact that he's got so much weight on Caruso. So just the versatility, man, in terms of the matchups he can take on as an on-ball defender. And then the fact that he is destructive off-ball.
Dude, I think he's like an 11%. His defensive field goal percentage inside 6 feet this year is like 11% too. It's ridiculous for a guard.
He does everything, bro. As a roamer, he is just going to fuck your offense up. He is getting his hands in there on every single ball. He's just the ultimate playoff player, man. Like, I thought it was so clear that Caruso's role was only going to increase for this team in the postseason. He is such a winner. He is such a nightmare for opposing offenses to face. And like, he just makes play after play that swings games, down to forcing the jump ball, right, where he strips Scottie Pippen Jr. and then Lou Dort falls on it, and then Edie, for whatever reason, fouls Lou Dort on the jump ball. I thought that was a big mental error by him. You don't need to do that. You got a foot on the guy. But absolutely incredible defensive performance by them collectively, but especially by Caruso individually. He's the best defensive guard on the planet. That's where I had him in our player rankings coming into this year, and a lot of people were pissed about that. Honestly, like, that might have been the thing about my list that people were most pissed about, me having him over Herb Jones. It's just that off-ball wrecking shit, man. It's so special, his defensive playmaking. But you mentioned Chet Holmgren. What a masterclass by him in the second half, and especially in that third quarter when they just need an infusion of offense. He's punishing the Grizzlies for helping off of him. He's beating them with the pick and pop game. Exact same things that he was doing last game. Just so big to see him that comfortable, that effective as a three-point shooter. And he has a play where he blows by Edie. He's using his quickness. He's showing his comfort as a driver. But just his continued aggression and his continued three-point shooting at this level is so important for them and so encouraging. And then Jalen Williams, Logan. J-Dub has been excellent for 3 straight basketball games. It's not a question who has been their best player in this series. It's J-Dub, probably in every single game. If you wanted to make the Caruso case for this one, I would genuinely hear it. I thought he was that insanely impactful. But the offensive production that you're getting from J-Dub, while he's also wrecking the game defensively, the transition scoring, but also the poise in the half court, he has just been so impressive. So it is a hell of a performance. It is a very rare thing to see a team that you feel is even capable of this. And I have to say, man, as bad as the first half was, I could never count the Thunder out because, as I literally said after game one, this is a team that puts together runs at a rate that only the peak Golden State Warriors are comparable to. Their ability to shut down your offense, turn defense into offense by forcing you into so many mistakes and then getting out and running in transition, where their athletes are just insane. It's one of one in the sport. And all of that was fully on display in this one. And you still aren't getting the best version of Shai. Not even close, honestly. Like, he played better in this game, but I still think he's forcing some tough looks. I still think he's specifically hunting the three a lot.
I got to give Triple J some credit too for what he's been doing defensively, like on SGA, and like yeah, I got to give a little bit of credit to Memphis, but
For
SGA's.
sure, good interior defense,
Eh,
but I thought he looked uncomfortable playing in a crowd at times. I thought his decision
mm-hmm.
making in traffic wasn't
I
great.
mean,
I mean, he ends up with 8 assists, but a couple ugly turnovers and 4 shots. Like, this is not the SGA that we saw in the regular season. And the Thunder are still sitting here up 3-0 in this series. And it's just such a testament to how insane their defense is, how insane their depth is, and how many game breaking players they have. Isaiah Joe is so active defensively and makes a couple threes and is getting out in transition in this one. They're one of a kind, man. Their ability to erase deficits, to build leads so quickly and so explosively, and to just dominate defensively.
well, I
So
mean,
special.
it's specifically that ability to win on defense and then their ability to capitalize on it on the other end. That's how they're able to put all these runs together, right? It's the defensive playmaking, it's the stops, but it's also
Dude,
the ability.
they had this game tied up by like 8 minutes to go in
Yeah,
the fourth.
yeah,
Like, from
dude.
that point forward, they were a little sloppy, but
Hmm.
they erased that 29-point lead in what, 20 minutes?
And yeah, I mean they're down Ja too. Like that's important context, but it's still impressive. You do that in any context, right? Like, but it's that ability to capitalize on their defense, winning on that end, and then that's how you generate easy points. The playoffs are tough when you've got to grind it out and you got to get in the half court so many times. The way to generate easy offense is to get out in transition where you're going to have mismatches that you can attack, where the defense isn't set up, where if you move the ball quickly enough, you can kill them. And Oklahoma City's as good at that as, any team in the league today, man. Like them or Boston, right? It's so special. I think Memphis is done, man. I mean, if Ja's back or not, I mean, you just I don't think you can bounce back from this game. I can't believe. Shout out Scottie Pippen Jr., man. I mean, dude was spraying in the
I owe
first
him an
half.
apology.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking about when I was watching this game, Carson. I was like, Carson was talking about the death last episode, and then Scottie Pippen does this in this game.
And it was a really good defensive performance by him too, but yeah, I mean, the shooting was just insane. He was really good in this one. He was their best player.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I mean, that's what got them out to that early lead. And Memphis' offense just stalled out towards the end. I thought this was a really bad Desmond Bane game, too. Like, I'm dogging
Yeah.
on Triple J. I've been disappointed by him as well. But Oklahoma City is instilling a lot of confidence in me, man. To come back, like, just the stakes of this game, it's like you're up 2-0. Memphis has smacked you in the mouth in the first half on the road. It would be so easy to just curl up into a ball and to take this
Yeah.
L and say, all right, we'll finish this in Oklahoma City in Game 5. But they didn't. They said, no, we're the Thunder. We're not just going to lay down. We're going to come back. We're going to fight. And it was enough to come back and win. That's what's really impressive to me is this just feels like a game that they could have laid down for, but they didn't.
I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that I think 29 out of 30 teams, if they're up 2-0 and they feel like they're that much better, they just say, all right, this isn't our game. We're not going to fight that hard. Like, we know that we're going to win this series in 5 still. The Thunder are the one team that are so psychotically competitive. And Alex Caruso might have the number one motor in the league, man. He is an insane person on a basketball court. And they have so much youth and they have so much energy and they have so much athleticism and so many great defensive players that, like, they just fight so hard. I honestly, like, couldn't believe their apathy in the first half because I'm like, the Thunder are the one team that never comes out flat. They don't play like this. And then, man, did they turn it around. I also think Mark Dagnall is just such a good coach. And to be fair, he's got a lot of talent to work with, but I think schematically, I think in terms of the intensity he instills in this team, he is so damn impressive. So it's the worst basketball that they've played all year for a half. And somehow I still think you leave this game wildly impressed with the Thunder. It's a different way than it was in the 50-point win, but like the resolve, the toughness, the fight, and still them showing all the things that make them special just in terms of their basketball traits. It was all on display in this one, and signature win, man. Grizzlies fans, if you're pissed with any sort of Thunder glaze in this one, I get it, because I do think they probably would have won this game with Ja, and I'm sorry that he got hurt, and I think it sucks, and it especially sucks how it happened, where, like, you're up 27, it's going to be an easy transition layup for him, and I know that Luke reputation And I feel like some people might try to spin that as a dirty play because we saw this with Amen yesterday. I don't know how you could. He so clearly has lost his balance and is just trying to make an effort play. Like, it's just unfortunate. This stuff happens in the NBA. It especially happens in the playoffs when dudes are trying to make an extra effort on every play and there's extra physicality on every play. But that sucks for Grizzlies fans because Ja really, really struggled in the first two games, but he looked comfortable. He was dialed in this one. And that version of Ja is really essential to this team reaching their ceiling and being a team that you feel can go out there and win playoff games. So whether he returns or not, I think the Thunder are going to win game 4. Like, this was the Grizzlies' chance. Obviously, they had everything going. The first half was the perfect storm, and they still weren't able to close it out. Let's talk about the other game that we saw out west, Logan. This was a dominant win for the Los Angeles Clippers over the Denver Nuggets. We saw 2 games in which the total scoring margin was 1 point, as close as it could be, as high quality basketball as it could be between Denver and LA. This game was a very different story. What did you take away from LA cruising to a victory in this one?
That's why it was so crucial for the Nuggets to get that last game, man, and for Jokic to
Yep.
be that much better because their margin is nowhere near as large as the Clippers. And that's what we said coming into this series is the Clippers have so many more good basketball players, guys that can produce for you on a given night that they've got to capitalize on the ones that they can win. And things swung back in the Clippers' favor in this game. I thought they shot a lot better. I thought Norman Powell played a lot better. James Harden pulls his weight in this game. And it's like this was a really good Kawhi game. It obviously wasn't great as game 2. Game 2 was a historic performance, but I still thought, even though he didn't shoot as efficiently, I thought this was a really good Kawhi game. And Jokic and Jamal do their thing, but it's a bad Aaron Gordon game. It's a bad MPJ game. It's a bad Russ game. And I thought the Nuggets were sloppy. I thought their defense was really poor. I thought they were conceding way too many open threes. That's what sucks, man, is it really feels like the Nuggets needed that game more than the Clippers. And when Kawhi was perfect and nobody else was on and Jokic just makes a few too many mistakes and that feels like the margin in game 2, those are the ones that come back to bite you in the playoffs. And I don't want to bail on my Nuggets pick, Carson, but I'm going to be honest with you. It's the least confident I think I am in any of my first round predictions at this point. And it's how I felt after game 1. You know, I thought the Nuggets almost played to their peak, right? MPJ didn't have a good game, but a lot of things went right for the Nuggets in that game. And that's the thing to me about this series. The Clippers just have more margin. The Nuggets need to play more refined, perfect basketball every single night to win, and it feels like the Clippers don't. They've got more guys that are reliably good. Zubats, I didn't even mention, had a really good game in this one too. It's like
Always does.
yeah, right.
So consistent.
Yeah, I'm. It's the prediction that I have the least confidence in at this point, man. And I don't know, man. I'm disappointed. A lot of the Nuggets' flaws came to light in this game, and you can't be surprised. The defense, the sloppy play, the inconsistency, but most importantly, it's the lack of shooting. And Clippers just got more margin, man. I'm disappointed in the Nuggets up to this point.
Yeah, this is a reversal of game 2 in the sense that you felt like the Nuggets role players really played quite well in that one and gave them a chance. And this is a disaster from Aaron Gordon outside of the first 5 minutes when he was hooping. But after that, I mean, can't finish at the rim, can't make a shot. Disaster from Michael Porter Jr., who goes 2 of 9 from the field in this game. And both of those guys are playing through injuries. So you're inclined to give them a pass. At the same time, it doesn't matter. Like, if this is the level that those two are going to be at for the remainder of this series, the Nuggets do not have a prayer in hell. Really bad from both of them. Russ could not make a shot. And like, this is the problem that we've been talking about, right? When he's on the floor, the Clippers are going to completely ignore him. They are going to roam off of him every possession. And unless he is making those open corner threes, you're playing 4-on-5. So you basically have to get him the ball on those possessions. And do you want your offense to be decided by whether or not Russell Westbrook is making open threes? Me personally, if I'm the Nuggets, no, I don't. And in this one, he was missing them. And then again, they lose him, which just sucks because their depth is so shoddy. And now you have to get some Julian Strawther minutes in this game. They also got, I don't know, like 3 bench points in this game. I want to say ends up being 6 bench points in this game. So just basically zero production outside of Murray and Jokic. I just think the burden on those two in this series is overwhelming. And I actually thought they were getting a lot of good offensive results when they ran through Jokic. Like in the first quarter, he was just absolutely dissecting doubles, dotting up cutters, racks up 7 assists. And then I just didn't think was assertive enough. He really needs to be the focal point of every single possession. Like he needs to be a god. We need absolute monster Jokic production where he is either scoring, which he was on most touches when they left him in single coverage, or he's drawing so many doubles. I just think they need even more Jokic. And at the end of the day, even if they get that, if the role players aren't going to be better than this, it's not going to matter. And it's not going to matter unless they're better defensively, where they really just did not have any answers in this game. I thought that their pick and roll defense was not good enough. I thought that James Harden was absolutely cooking them in the first half. They try a couple possessions of drop, and he's just walking into pull-up threes that he rains. They're putting 2 up on the ball, and I just think they're not nearly active enough on the back line. They're tagging Zoo way too late. They're getting over to deal with him off the roll too late, where he's comfortably finishing a lot of those looks. And as you said, they also allowed a lot of open threes. Kawhi was really good as a passer in this one too, so they were trying to send multiple bodies at him, but he was making the right reads. He was finding shooters. He was finding cutters. The Clippers are just a really, really good, complete basketball team, and the Nuggets have more holes. So in the Nuggets' best games, absolutely, they can go toe-to-toe with the Clippers. They can beat the Clippers when everything is going right, when they're engaged and competitive defensively, when Jokic is perfect offensively, when guys are making shots around him and making good decisions. But in a game like this, where the Nuggets are disjointed and they're not making shots and they're not engaged defensively, not playing up to their potential, the floor for the Clippers is just so much higher. And they just ran away with this one without playing a remarkable game by the Clippers standards. They played a good game, but this was more about them just being so much better than the Nuggets when Denver's at their worst.
I completely agree. I completely agree, man. Like the Clippers just have more good players that can kill you on a given day, and I still that's what's so ridiculous about this Nuggets Clippers series is that I feel like the Clippers have yet to throw anywhere close to their best punch. Like I don't feel like they fully put it together yet on the Nuggets, and this was a convincing win. Like don't get me wrong, wholeheartedly, I think the Nuggets can play much, much better basketball. I mean, I've seen it in this series. Like the level they were able to reach at defensively in game one on a possession to possession basis, the level that Jamal was at, the level that we've seen Gordon and MPJ play at in spurts in this series. Russ, too. Like the Nuggets can play way better, but it feels like the Clippers haven't played close to. They haven't thrown close to their best punch yet, and I feel like they can. Clippers are dangerous, man. I was sleeping. They need to tuck me in and give me my pillow, bro, and my blanket. I was sleeping on the Clippers.
They are dangerous, bro. And I'll take it a step further. I don't see why the Clippers can't win the NBA title. Like, I'm not going to put them in a tier with Boston
I
and
don't
OKC.
I don't think that's ridiculous.
Like, how are they not clearly a top 5 team in basketball? There is not a box that they are not checking. Their stars are playing at a dominant level.
What do you
Kawhi
think
is playing like a top 10 player. James Harden is playing like a top 20 player. And they've been doing this for months now. Their
what
depth is really
what
good.
X player is Zubac in the league? Like top what?
Probably Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
What?
Oh, I thought you were looking for a player comparison. I was going to say he's basically the modern Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Zoo is a top 40-ish player in the NBA.
So they have 3 top 50 players, though.
Absolutely. And Norman Powell, he's not as consistent, but he's an absolute weapon when he gets going offensively like he did in this game. So I'm just looking up and down at this team, man, and they've been playing phenomenal basketball for a long time. Their two stars have been playing at an incredibly high level for a long time now. They have one of the most consistent third options in basketball who is such a high impact two-way player night after night and is just such a lean, efficient contributor who fits so seamlessly on both ends. They have great creators and they have great play finishers with a big like Zoo and with their spot up shooting, and you're getting the elite creation from Kawhi and James Harden. They have really, really good depth. Like they have role players who can go out there and have a massive impact on the game. If it's Chris Dunn, who has 8 rebounds in this game, who's one of the best defensive guards on the planet, one of the best on ball guys as a screen navigator, and one of the best off ball disruptors as a roamer. Nick Batum Logan is first ballot role player Hall of Fame. 4 threes in this one, 3 blocks. He's still so productive and so effective as a two-way player. They have awesome perimeter defenders and they have a dominant interior defender. Like if you get the best version of Kawhi and Harden, who at this point it feels like basically just take turns leaving defenses helpless. Like you're going to get a game where Harden is absolutely nails as a pull-up shooter and he's getting by you at will and he's picking you apart as a playmaker. And then the next game it's just going to be, okay, nobody can deal with Kawhi on an island and he's just going to give you a super efficient 35 plus or whatever. Both of them are capable of dominating games, being the best player on the floor in playoff games. Why are they not in those conversations? Like I've been saying, I had them as the second best team in the West for a bit. And then I said the Lakers at their best probably have the edge, but I don't know. The Clippers are just more consistent because their defensive infrastructure is so sound. They're just so reliably awesome. And I do
Do
think they're going to
you
win this series. And I think they're going to give OKC a hell of a fight in the second round. As good a fight as anybody in the West can.
That's what I was just going to ask you. Do you think they match up with the Thunder better than the Lakers?
I don't know if they match up better. I think that they are a better defensive counter just with their speed and athleticism on that end. I think that the Lakers pose more problems offensively just because dealing with two ball handlers and creators with the size and strength of Luka and LeBron, we've seen pose some issues for the Thunder. I think that they are like right on par with each other as clearly the two biggest threats to the Thunder. Minnesota, also a tough matchup, playing really well, but I do tend to lean on the offenses that I trust more, and that is still both of the LA teams. But the better two-way team, certainly the more consistently great two-way team, is the Clippers. It's awesome to see, man. Because, you know, sometimes when you talk about the Clippers in a positive light, the world makes you feel like you're an insane person, Logan.
Well, I
Like
mean,
you
it's
perhaps
kind
are
of
suffering from schizophrenia, scribbling on the walls, drinking the Kool-Aid. And I'm glad I drank all that Kool-Aid up because it was delicious. It was cherry flavored and it was awesome. Because
thankfully
Kawhi is
you
back. James Harden is fantastic.
thankfully you didn't die. You know, thankfully the Kool-Aid didn't kill you. I mean,
Well, I shouldn't count my chickens before they've
yeah,
hatched,
yeah,
so to
yeah,
speak.
yeah. It is good to see though. I mean, Clippers fans have suffered enough and he's been on the cusp so many times, right? Like the Chris Paul and Blake teams and how great they were every single year, but they just couldn't get over the hump. And then, PG doing his thing down Kawhi. And just nice to finally see this at least come to fruition a little bit in the first round, man. Here's to continued health. Yeah, like you said, man, I don't want to count the chickens before they hatch.
But they are playing excellent basketball, and the Nuggets did not have it in this one. I know there are some people who are probably going to look at this game and say, all right, this is all the evidence that we need, that the Nuggets need to blow up their roster. And I think that changes are needed. But I think that's been apparent for a while. We've talked about it. I think MPJ is the most likely candidate to be on the move. See if you can find somebody who is more of a complete two-way wing, somebody who can bring you that value. And then maybe you can also get a depth piece along with that. Because obviously those are the couple of things that need to improve: your perimeter athleticism and your overall wing defense and speed on that side of the ball. And then your depth. And both of those things you very much saw the absence of for the Nuggets in this one. This is a rough one. They still have a chance to be very competitive in the remaining games in this series, unless these injuries are going to affect Aaron Gordon and MPJ to this point. MPJ is the more concerning one to me because it's a new thing and it's a shoulder, and he's obviously a shooter, and his shooting was terrible in this one. So that is definitely something that they have to monitor. Not a good game if you're a Nuggets fan. Not a good feeling. And I think you see what I was talking about when I picked the Clippers to win this series, man. More margin, more of an ability to make the Nuggets offense uncomfortable than vice versa. We're going to take a quick break to get some words from DraftKings, and then we will talk about another phenomenal Knicks-Pistons game and what has been such a fun series after this. The NBA 82 game grind is done, and now the real fun begins. The NBA playoffs are here, and it's time for all the high stakes drama, clutch moments, and jaw dropping plays. I can't wait. If you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as an official sports betting partner of the NBA. From the play-in games all the way through to the finals, now's the time to back your favorite players and teams as they chase glory.
All season long, DraftKings has been the go-to spot for NBA player props, and that doesn't stop now. Want to make your playoff experience even more intense? Try placing a bet on your favorite player's performance. Will they drop 30 points, 40, or more? It's your call. Ready to place your first bet? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, lock in your bets, and let's make this playoff run unforgettable.
Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code NERDS. That's code NERDS for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Logan, we got a "fuck you, Brunson" chant from the Detroit crowd in this game, which I feel captures the intensity and the nastiness of this series. You don't mind my language saying that, do you? You look perhaps a bit offended. You're not clutching your pearls, are you?
No.
Second straight day, we got an "FU ex-player" chant from two different fan bases in two different arenas. And I got to say, man, I love it. These playoffs, there's so much tension, there's so much beef, there's so much animosity, there's so much physicality being allowed. And these are a couple of classic basketball cities that are honestly known for having nasty teams in years past. And this was a great basketball game between the two of them. The Knicks bounce back. They get a win in Detroit to take a 2-1 lead in this series. What did you take away from their performance?
I mean, I was really happy with what we got out of Karl-Anthony Towns in this game. He gives you 31, 8 and 1 on 10 of 18 from the field, 4 of 8 from deep, and he went 7 of 7 from the line. In game 2, he gives you just 10 points, and he had 0 field goal attempts in the fourth quarter. To me, Cat was the big difference maker in this series and what really gave me confidence in taking New York to win the series, just how reliable he could be nightly offensively. And they eked this one out. I want to give the Pistons a ton of credit for coming back in the second half. The Knicks finished the first half on a 23-6 run. They're up 66-53. And by 5 minutes left in the third quarter, the Pistons had erased the lead. 5 minutes into the third quarter, they had completely erased all of that lead. They were right back in the game. And they just didn't get enough out of their offensive supporting cast, and I think that's the real big difference in this series. Dennis Schroeder had a great game. Tim Hardaway Jr. kept them around in this game, but Malik Beasley wasn't good enough, and I think Cade Cunningham had to be just a little bit better in this game. You know, I hate picking on him because he had 24 points, 11 assists, but he ultimately shoots just 10 of 25 from the field. He's got 6 turnovers, and he just needs to be a little bit more efficient in this series. It sucks because he's got such a big burden on his shoulders, and I think Beasley could have shot better. Honestly, if Beasley shoots better in this game, I don't think it matters. I think the Pistons just win, but they were negative 19 in his minutes in the first half, but that's a difference, man. Like, you just trust Anunoby to get his. You trust Bridges to get his. You know what Brunson and Cat are going to give you for the most part. And that's why Cat's a difference, man. Cat took over in this game, had a really good one, and that's why I picked the Knicks to win this series. But I thought this was a really, really encouraging game for the Pistons to, one, win that game, get that monkey off their back, the first win in 17 years in the playoffs. That was step one. And they didn't give up in this game, man. They battled, and
No.
I thought they were really physical with New York. I thought they battled on the glass in this game. And the Cade and Duran pick and roll really got going in the second half and generated them some easy offense. It wasn't. This was a really good loss. Like any loss sucks in the playoffs, but I thought the Pistons played really really well and played hard. They just came up just short.
They always play hard, and you got to give them props for that. But I thought this was a really impressive performance from the Knicks and a really nice bounce back game from a disappointing game, too, in which I specifically thought their offensive approach was frustrating. And I talked about this, but it wasn't just that Brunson was making his case for the greatest grifting performance that we've seen since prime James Harden or maybe Joel Embiid. It was the fact that he was basically icing all of his teammates out. And this is a Knicks team that has a lot of collective offensive talent, and they're at their best when everybody is touching the ball. And especially like Cat is basically constantly working with an advantage because they're guarding him with Tobias Harris. And he had been so good for a game and a half. And then he just was not involved in the offense whatsoever. And Brunson had some really bad turnovers in that game. He wasn't efficient from the field. And I talked about how it felt like he wasn't trusting his teammates. I realized afterwards, like game two felt like Brunson thought that he had last year's roster around him. Like his job was to carry every offensive possession, sometimes to just get shots up on the rim, because obviously last year there was nobody else who was healthy for the playoffs who could create a shot. It's a much more talented team. It's a very different vibe this time around. And I thought that he got that. Like there was no hero ball from Jalen Brunson in this game. He was selfless. And when it came time for him to make some big time shots in the clutch, he was there and he delivered, but everybody was getting involved. I also liked that the Knicks were very intentionally playing with more pace. They have 10 more transition points in this game than they did in game two, getting more easy early offense. The ball was moving around better. They only had 3 turnovers in the first half against 15 assists. That was phenomenal efficiency and selfless basketball. And 4 of their starters go for 20 plus points. So I just think that's really what makes this Knicks team so good. That's their advantage over the Pistons. It's not just that I do think Brunson is the best player on the floor in this series. It's more so the number of really reliable high-end offensive contributors that they have. And the best player in this game was Karl-Anthony Towns. He was absolutely phenomenal. They were getting him the ball and allowing him to attack mismatches. That's including Tobias Harris as a mismatch. And he was really, really good there. He was under control. He was getting to those floaters, and he was really, really good on them. But there was one possession where like they're even going to switch Schroeder onto him, and that was just cake for Cat. Sometimes you can see him when he's trying to attack smaller players, get a little bit flustered, get a little bit sloppy with the handle. Not in this game. He was excellent there. I want to see more of them leaning into him as a mismatch attacker, but then also he was getting his most efficient offense, which is those transition threes as a trailer, which he was just stepping into and absolutely raining. So phenomenal offensively. And allow me to praise Karl-Anthony Towns' defense, Logan, because I got to say, in this series, it's been better than I expected. It's been better than the level it was at in the regular season. Now, is he still lacking in some areas? Absolutely. Still not a good rim protector. Still somebody who obviously they're bringing up to level a lot, in part to put some pressure on Cade, but also because they're not comfortable with him as a drop defender. But 2 big blocks in the last 3 minutes of this game. Through 3 games of this series, he's got 5 steals and he's got 6 blocks. He's been active with his hands. He has put some pressure on Cade up at the level. So great game from him. And then I thought Mikal and OG were both excellent on both ends. OG is such a tough matchup for Cade. But I also thought that Mikal, who we had seen get bullied a little bit more in that Cade matchup, did a better job holding up and applying some pressure to him and making life hard on him, and also just made some plays defensively. 3 steals, 2 blocks, shot it really well from deep, shot it well from mid-range. Just a really nice, efficient, good two-way performance from him. And then Josh Hart is still doing Josh Hart stuff in this one. He's great on the glass. He's really good as a passer. So that's the strength of this Knicks team. It's that their starting 5 is sick. You're not going to get a ton of bench production, but when everybody in their starting five is at their best and they're playing together, they've got a lot of really good basketball players, and that's when they're going to get their best results. And that's what happened in this one.
Yeah, I think the Knicks are just more talented than Detroit. I think that's the big difference in this series. But I do want to give Detroit and them credit just for being really physical in this game too. Like I didn't feel like New York convincingly won that battle. I thought they played more physical and came out with a better intensity than they did last game because even though it is kind of cliche, like that does determine individual games, and I thought the Knicks had a better punch in this one, but
Mm-hmm.
I thought Ron Holland in his minutes was really, really good defensively. I thought Paul Reed in the minutes that he came
D-ball
in
Paul, man.
gave them really a big impact defensively and on the glass. Like, I really like Detroit's identity, man. They're solid. They're not going to give up. They're scrappy, man. Detroit's scrappy now, and they're just the team that you can really easily root for. And I don't think this is their year. I think New York's going to bounce them, but I think Cade's going to get more efficient. I think he's going to get better at taking care of the ball. I think he's going to become more reliable as a scorer. And I think the Pistons are on their way up. They're at a little bit of a talent disadvantage here. And if Cat continues playing the way that I know Cat can, I think the Knicks are going to run away with this series because that's what I've been preaching every game in this series is that Cat to me is the difference every single game. The Pistons just don't have somebody that can check Cat. It really is that simple. I don't think they have a guy that can hold him.
He was excellent. One of the best playoff games of his career, for sure. Only one I can think
And
of
and
that
he
was
does.
better was Game 7 against the Nuggets last year.
I don't want to give him props, man. Cat's becoming a little bit more steady. I can't say that completely, but like game 2 is disappointing, but game 1 and game 3, I was really, really satisfied with Cat.
He's one of the most gifted offensive big men we've ever seen, and if you give him spacing where he's at the 5, just look at his production this year. Look at his
What
efficiency
do you
this year.
think
He's an
about that?
incredible offensive talent.
They went less with the double big lineup in this game. Do you think that's something they should continue doing?
Like I've said, I like the double big look in this matchup. I don't think it's going to be viable against Boston, but I also don't think that they need to force it. Like, I think that they're just a bit better than Detroit, whether they go double big or whether they go with their starting 5. But Mitch has given them good minutes. He's been phenomenal on the glass and he's been good defensively. I do want to give some shouts to some Pistons who stepped up, though. You mentioned Paul Reed, 8 rebounds in his 16 minutes, just so active, playing so hard. And Dennis Schroeder, what a excellent basketball player he has been over these last 2 games. I've really liked seeing him play at this level because as a Warriors fan, I thought he was going to be a significantly more impactful addition for the Dubs than he was. Obviously, he ends up getting moved, but he really struggled with the Warriors. But he's shooting the laces off the ball right now, and you just see his ability to get by people off the dribble, to make good decisions with the basketball. This team really needs that in a playoff setting, especially because in the regular season, after Jaden Ivey gets hurt, like they can ride Cade as really their lone creator, ball handler, more so than they can in a playoff series when it's like, okay, we're going to put 2 on him every time down. And like he is so far and away our top priority as a defense, and we're scheming for him aggressively. Schroeder's a guy who can take the pressure off, who can make shots, who can make decisions, and he's done a really nice job of that. For Cade, he had to be better in this one. At the end of the day, I thought that he was pretty good as a passer, but as you said, 40% from the field with 6 turnovers. The efficiency is just not good enough. And there was that stretch in the third quarter where Cade Duran pick and roll was just dicing the Knicks up. Like they're putting 2 on the ball, and he keeps on finding Duran off the roll, and Duran is finishing. He also made a nice read off the short roll. But overall, Cade just has to get better with the turnovers specifically because like some of them are just sloppy. This has been a thing with him all year, but like in every game of this series, he's had 5 or 6 turnovers. That's just too many, regardless of the offensive burden that you're taking on. And again, you see the limitation that he has as a lead offensive creator in this game. Nothing comes easy for Cade. Like he has to work hard for all of his buckets. There's so many tough mid-range pull-ups just because he doesn't have that high level rim pressure and rim finishing as Logan is now being raised by the dark. Is everything okay over there? It's all right. We're wrapping this show up in a couple minutes anyways. Only bummer is that I can't see your beautiful smiling face quite as well. But again, like, he's not really capable of getting easy offense when he's matched up with OG. He's 10 of 32 when guarded by OG Anunoby in this series. He's done such a great job on him. He's so strong. He's impressively good at navigating screens for his size. And so he's been a really, really big challenge for Cade. And then last game, I praised Cade for getting a lot of easy transition offense, for involving Brunson in so many actions, for hunting the mismatches so he didn't have to go right at OG as much. And in this game, he just wasn't able to do as much of any of those things. Like when he did try to go at Mikal as a smaller wing, Mikal held up a lot better than he did last game. Jalen Brunson had a possession where he was switched on to him late and did a decent job. And then they sent a late double and they forced a tough shot on Cade late in the shot clock. So those are really the limitations for him, right? Just where is that easy offense coming from? Can he get the efficiency up? Those are the couple of reasons that I'm not as high on Cade as some people are right now. And I do think that you've seen those in this series be a bit of a limitation.
Yeah, and
Still an awesome basketball player, to be clear. And it's not easy to be the
Cade's
guy
going to
in your first
continue.
playoff run, no matter
Cade's
what.
ascending. Yeah, Cade's going to continue to get better. Specifically in this series, though, I don't know. I think it would take the Knicks having another really off offensive night from one of their guys. Like, I think Cat would have to have a bad night. OG, Bridges. I don't really think Detroit can disrupt those guys all that much. Like, I think they can disrupt Brunson, but Brunson's still always going to get his. It's like, I don't know. I'm also debating if Detroit can shoot better, man, because it does feel like if they can get Beasley and Hardaway Jr. on in the same night, they're just so dependent on those guys. You know what I mean?
Well, they did have that in game one.
Yeah. But it's like you need you need them and Harris on really to maximize that offense, and it's just hard,
Well,
man.
they did have that in game
Yeah.
one, to be fair, but Cade wasn't good enough in game one.
All those things have to come together for Detroit, and it's not going to be easy though, man. I think we're in for 6 or 7. I don't know. I'm on the fence between that. I still think this is a really competitive series. And again, the Pistons have been in every single one of these games, and they have been
Absolutely.
tight down to the wire every single one of them.
Absolutely. I do think the Knicks have more offensive talent. They have more margin, and that's the reason that I lean on them. But the Pistons are highly competitive. They're physical. They're intense night after night. You get a couple of clunkers, obviously, from Tobias Harris and Malik Beasley in this game, but you also do get a couple of really good performances from Schroeder and Tim Hardaway Jr. to offset that, at least to some extent. And I thought Duren was mostly really good in this one. I think he's been impressive in this series. Couple of rough possessions that he cost them, batting the shit out of that jump ball. We saw two instances in games today on big jump balls where centers with huge size advantages managed to mess it up in their own ways going up against a much smaller player. And then I saw some people getting on him for just like throwing away the inbound to Cade, which I get. I mean, you have to complete that pass, but also there was a half second on the clock, and it's like Cade's maybe going to get off a half court attempt. So, like, yes, I would prefer if Duren didn't mess that up, but I don't know that that was consequential at all on the outcome of this game. Overall, I think Duren's played well, and the Pistons have been very, very solid, man. They're right there with the Knicks. It's not like there's a big gap between these teams. It's just there's one team who I trust a little bit more. Fun day of basketball, Logan. Gotta say, there was a moment where I was like, are we going to have two stinkers in this late window? No, man. The Thunder, what a
Don't
performance.
count them out. Don't count them out, man.
I never would. Logan, if there's one thing that I'm going to do, it's glaze the Oklahoma City Thunder. Something that I'm great at and I take a lot of pride in. Alex Caruso, unbelievable. Unbelievable what that man is capable of. Logan, I'm getting word we're going to be back tomorrow night. Is that true?
Sources are telling me. I can't confirm. We're going to be back tomorrow night.
Sources are telling me it's going to be a party because it's a Friday night and everybody's going to be here with us and we're all going to be having a great time talking about basketball
We're going to be turning up.
and enjoying the libations that are
I don't
offered to us
I
by
don't know what that
Dionysus.
I don't know what that word means, bro.
Look it up. Crack open a thesaurus and enjoy. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you all enjoyed this one. If you did, then we have plenty more of our content. You can find it all on our YouTube channel. You can see all of the full episodes of the pod. Of course, you can catch all of our post-game live streams in the moment, or you can watch them after. And you can listen to all of these shows, of course, across all audio platforms. You can also follow us across social, TikTok, Instagram at NerdSesh, Twitter at Nerd_Sesh to see clips from the show, graphics from the show, and all of our short-form trivia content. And you can see Logan's smiling face, who's just giggling over there. What are you giggling about, man? You crack open that thesaurus? You got one on you?
I did find out what libations meant. Good one, bro.
You know, just a good time.
That's
just hoping we all have a good time on a Friday.
That's a little convoluted, but kudos.
All right. Well, on that note, appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, I've been Carson Brabber.
I've been Logan Camden.
And this was Nerd Sesh.